It's raining at the moment, so I apologize if you can hear the rain, but regardless. Also, I'm blonde now, but regardless. I have never seen a studio feel the need to flex their brands as much as Disney. Never heard of Disney? It's this little indie company going around. And the strongest example of this comes with The Simpsons. Never heard of The Simpsons? It's this little indie series, comes with The Simpsons and the abundance of shorts they've made for Disney+. Disney+ became the home of everything Disney and everything that falls under that brand. An ever-expanding library of content built for all viewers of all ages. And you would think that just having that content in one place, neatly categorized per brand and franchise in what is honestly one of the nicest streaming UIs I have ever seen would be enough for Disney, right? Wrong. Despite seeing that UI of franchises all these years later, Disney still feels the need to remind you of everything they own. What you're paying to see. Characters you never thought would interact. And who better to act as a tie between all of these different franchises than something already referred to as a shell of its former self, it's The Simpsons. Now don't get me wrong, I love The Simpsons. I regard season 1 to 11 as some of my favorite pieces of television ever. And I wouldn't have as much of a problem with these Disney Plus shorts if they weren't just soulless cameo fests. But what if I were to tell you that it wasn't an awful start and it didn't start off entirely bad? The Simpsons seemingly had a strong future with Disney Plus, but believe me, that short-lived ride definitely didn't last as long as it should have. The first short released with Disney Plus is Maggie Simpson in Playdate with Destiny. I won't talk about this short because, hear me out, it's actually kind of decent. And most importantly, it doesn't flex the Disney brand every 3 seconds. So, let's move on to the slop. The Force Awakens from its nap sees Maggie at this Star Wars themed daycare center where she clearly does not want to be. There are tons of Star Wars references and characters, but the most prominent of the story befriends Maggie, BB-8, who just gets battered by the other BB units, then killed by a Darth Maul type character who is actually Gerald Sampson, Maggie's enemy in the actual show. Gerald has a Darth Maul lightsaber, so Maggie extends her dummy and uses it as a way of fighting back. They fight all over the place to this actually pretty fun soundtrack, passing reference after reference until Maggie is about to lose, until Gerald uses the Force and pulls down a cabinet on top of Maggie, crushing Maggie to death. BB-8 comes to the rubble all sad. Then this weird graph pops up on the screen showing the loss of money Disney is going to make since they just killed off Maggie Simpson. So she kind of just floats out of the rubble with big ears. Some sort of Force ghost thing, I guess. They play the Star Wars title crawl saying beloved characters never really die, and some characters appear in the background. Most of which are dead, sure, but why is Chewie there? Why is Rey there? And why is C-3PO there? This was released a year after Rise of Skywalker, and they all made it out of the movie fine. Also, Boba Fett is here? I guess we can let that slide because he hadn't returned to Mando yet, but it still kind of feels weird. You would think they would have had that planned out by then? I don't know, it's Disney, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, after the title crawl, Maggie and BB-8 look over the twin sunsets as the credits show stills from this short, plus some other Simpsons Star Wars crossovers. Overall, this one actually feels a lot less like a cameo fest than an actual crossover. But since this was just the beginning, it's only downhill from here and it just keeps getting worse. Not great, but not awful. 3 out of 5 stars. Alright, so this is where it begins. The good, the Bart, and the Loki. Riding off of the success of the show Loki, this short sees Loki in Asgard being banished to Earth, specifically Springfield, where he crash lands in the Simpsons' backyard. He very quickly befriends Bart due to their similarities. He eats some dinner with the Simpsons, and Homer and Bart love him. Homer because he turned 1 pork chop into 2, Bart because on command, Loki sends Lisa to Asgard. In Asgard, Lisa touches Mjolnir and gains the power of Thor. She comes back to Springfield and she brings a heap of Simpsons characters dressed as Marvel characters. Some look better than others, definitely. I like that they've dressed Mole Man as actual Mole Man. That's very clever. I don't know why Shauna Chalmers is Rescue. Shauna isn't a major character, and neither is Rescue, so why bother including either of them? Rainier Wolfcastle holds up a sign that says, "This is what happens when Disney buys Marvel and Fox." And that couldn't be more true. Lisa sends Loki back to Asgard, but he'd swapped bodies with Bart. So Bart actually gets sent back to Asgard in Loki's body. Plot twist. Loki gets tucked into Bart's bed and is happy at the fact that he finally has a loving family, just cursing a 10-year-old off to a place across the stars that he has no idea what to do there. Bart's 10 years old and you've just kind of sent him to the fucking middle of nowhere. What the fuck is wrong with you? In typical Marvel fashion, we actually get an end credit scene that recreates Hulk versus Loki from the first Avengers movie. This time, Ralph as the Hulk. We then see Loki being in trouble at the TVA. I don't know what this scene was supposed to be, really. I guess it's just to tie it to Loki, the show. Speaking of shows, this really shows where The Simpsons is heading with Disney+. 2 out of 5 stars. This one is literally just a music video for Bad Bunny's song of the same name. The whole message is Homer being obsessed with his phone to a point where Marge says one day he'll look up from his phone and his family will be gone, which is exactly what happened. Homer regrets not spending time with his family, so he mopes around a little bit and then meets the family at a Bad Bunny concert and proves his love to Marge by smashing his phone. Throughout this short, they actually kind of recreate the Bush scene, so I guess that's something, but otherwise it's just dialogueless and the Bad Bunny music plays over the top. Bad Bunny and The Simpsons, it's just such a weird collab I never thought I'd see. 1 out of 5 stars. I can hear all your comments before we move on to the next one. I didn't dye my hair just for this video. I didn't want to look more like Bart Simpson. I did it for other reasons, although I do kind of look like Bart Simpson. To celebrate Disney Plus's Plusiversary, Moe's Tavern is hosting a gathering of all your favorite Simpsons and Disney characters. Homer isn't on the guest list, and everyone around him gets in except him. How sad. Look at this cool lizard. He claims to be Goofy's +1, which allows him to enter. Here we just get a slew of random Disney characters interacting with random Star Wars characters, interacting with random Simpsons characters. The mood in this place is off for just no explained reason. So Lisa comes in and sings about how streaming is great for Disney Plus, and how Disney Plus is so easily accessible and has everything to stream on Disney Plus. You can stream everything on Disney Plus it's got a whole library and it's so accessible. Disney Plus. She also sings about how it's good for Disney shareholders and how if Disney has your credit card information, the subscription will automatically renew. Keep in mind, this is a short about The Simpsons and it is just as obnoxious as it sounds. Then Bart comes in as Mickey Mouse and kicks everyone out for no reason whatsoever and tells them to go back to work. Why wouldn't they just get the actual Mickey? You've got Goofy, you've got Ursula, you've got the whole gang. Why not just get the big cheese, if you will? Get it? Because he's a mouse. I don't know and I don't care. The credits play with the artwork mixed with Simpsons and Disney characters and the Simpsons theme song. If I were actually ranking these shorts rather than just talking about them in release order, I sure as hell know where this one would go. 0.5 star out of 5. When Billy Met Lisa is exactly that. Lisa plays the saxophone in the worst possible places around the house and gets surprised when everybody gets mad at her for it. So she goes and plays under an overpass. Billy and her brother Phineas just so happen to be driving over and hear Lisa playing and asks if she can jam with her. Lisa, Billy, and Phineas recreate the Simpsons theme with a Billie Eilish spin. And this little tune makes the whole town fill with music and joy and full of life. Later, Billie Eilish and Lisa Simpson discuss their parents and how different their parenting styles are, and that goes nowhere because the credits start rolling. Billy is good in this, sure. Did they really need The Simpsons to promote Billie Eilish? Is she not big enough? Why did they need The Simpsons? Why didn't you just tell people there was a Billie Eilish thing on Disney Plus? Why do you need The Simpsons for this? Arguably, Billie Eilish is more popular than The Simpsons. 1 star. Welcome to the Club sees Lisa hoping to be a Disney princess, but she's tricked by Loki, who's still apparently been hiding as Bart, and has been since The Good, the Bart, and the Loki. I don't know what this means for the real Bart and the actual show itself, but anyway. Lisa is sent to all the women Disney villains rather than the princesses. They try to convince Lisa to become a villain instead of a princess. They sing about how villain life is so much better. Then all of the Disney princes come out and sing about how they're all dumb and bad people. Mickey for some reason pops up out of nowhere, and then all of the princesses do this weird stop motion walk that they just decided not to animate properly and lay down making the shape of Mickey Mouse's head. And then that's it? We don't even see what happened to Lisa, and we don't find anything else about Bart. What the hell is the point of this one? 1 star. And that's a very generous 1 star. On Christmas Day at the Simpsons household, Homer gives Marge Andrea Bocelli, who sings with his family, a Christmas tune. I have no idea why this exists. We get the obligatory Mickey Mouse cameo, 2 actually. 0.5 star. The first of very few good things I will say about Rogue Not Quite One is that they recreated the Disney castle by replacing it with Simpsons buildings, and I have a small brain, so I just kind of thought that was pretty cool. We see a bunch of Star Wars parental figures bringing their kids into a daycare center, and when it's Homer's turn to enter, he gets distracted by Moe's cantina. Get it? Because he loves alcohol. Guys, that's from The Simpsons. In The Simpsons, Homer actually really loves alcohol. He puts Maggie in Grogu's little floating pram thing, runs into Moe's, drinking blue milk because blue milk is actually from Star Wars if you didn't, then gets eaten by this fellow. Maggie, getting impatient, accidentally presses some buttons that changes her diaper. Also, the pram says Baby Yoda only. I'm 99% sure he was given the name Grogu by this point. But anyway, Mando comes out of nowhere with the Darksaber and tries to attack Maggie, but she flies away, which is good because he just unprovoked used one of the most dangerous weapons in the universe on a child. She gets picked up for speeding by Wiggum, who gets distracted by a donut. Pretty sure his dialogue here was just taken from the show because it just sounds so atrocious.
I gotta save that adorable little donut.
Like somebody quite literally held their phone mic up to the TV to record it. Also, I don't get this, but there's no dialogue at the start of the short, and then it just cuts to this weird ADR of Wiggum, and then nothing else? Why? Why? Maggie then somehow goes through hyperspace because Disney doesn't even know how their own property works at this point. She gets attacked by that evil baby Darth Maul from The Force Awakens from its nap, who then just kind of falls asleep. Back on the ground, Homer gets thrown up and panics over losing Maggie. He does this whole expression of screaming, but because we're against voice lines in some of these shorts for some reasons, he makes no noise. He just does the face that Homer would do when he's screaming, but nothing comes out. Why could they get Wiggum, but not Homer screaming? This is the only line that actually would have worked in this short. You didn't need Wiggum saying whatever he said in ADR. You just needed Homer screaming once, which you easily could have taken from the show if you did that the same way with Wiggum, because it really seems like you did. Ugh. Darth Maul baby wakes up and chases Maggie with even more TIE fighters. She hyperdrives back to Springfield. 2 TIE fighters crash into the Lard Lad donut statue, and they knock off the Lardland dough off the sign, which just leaves nuts. Now, if you don't get this joke here, it's because the joke is that all of the letters have actually fallen off, except the ones that spell nuts, N-U-T-S, nuts, which is actually another word used to describe testicles. The joke here is that nuts, if you will, are just so damn funny. TIE fighter eaten by giant fish, Maggie surrounded, saved by Kang and Kodos. Maggie grapples onto evil baby's ship, uses dummy to calm him down, drug reference, he flies off, BB-8 gives Maggie new dummy, the end. After the whole nuts joke, that was just kind of hard to take the rest of it seriously. 1 star. And just like that, we've come to the last leg of this god-awful marathon with May the 12th Be With You, a Mother's Day special for a change. This short sees Marge Simpson and all of the other Disney mums going to a special outing. Marge's car doesn't work, but luckily Ahsoka and Roddy Hutt appear out of nowhere to save the day. All of the mothers and their kids hop on Ahsoka's ship, and Marge kills BB-8. What? They get to a playground planet, but first have to park. Mickey Mouse cameo! Anyway, the mothers and the children walk around the park to find somewhere to eat. Rodda eats a sandcastle, and a whole fight between Jedis and the mums and the children versus troopers breaks out because a kid was fat-shaming Rotta, and they couldn't have that. Turns out it was all just actually a simulation that everybody was in on, except Marge, and Marge apparently is the one that ruined it for taking it too far, despite not really doing anything that the other characters hadn't already done. To apologize, Marge says that they'll have an apology party back at their place, so everyone goes there, including Bluey and Bingo for some reason, because if you didn't know, Bluey is streaming on Disney+. Guys, Disney Plus is a streaming service. More wacky Simpsons x Disney interactions ensue. Then the party is interrupted by the, quote, Hulu kids. This features mums and the kids from Bob's Burgers, King of the Hill, and Family Guy. Stewie talks like he would on Family Guy using inappropriate language. So Homer puts him, a baby, mind you, head first into a duffel bag, zips it up, and takes him to Moe's Tavern. He starts swearing because Family Guy uses swear words, and the Simpsons don't do that as much. Swear words are funny. Out of all of the shorts, I'm going to say this one could have and probably easily should have been better, but everybody in this was just so lifeless, especially the Hulu crowd. That would, like, you would think these big cameos from hit shows would make a little more sense, but they were just... And poor Julie Kavner's voice. It's just so strained and really hard to listen to. Give that poor woman a break. You would think by now, these would have gotten a little bit better and they would have learnt from their previous mistakes. In the current year of 2024, no, half a star. Look, I know I've gone in on them, but The Simpsons and Star Wars both have a special place in my heart. It sucks, especially for The Simpsons, to see them used as a cash grab or a bridging point for these other franchises. The Simpsons used to thrive on their originality. Season 12-ish onwards was seen as the show's first major downfall, but I really think this Disney-fication of The Simpsons has just been the worst possible thing for the franchise. And sure, maybe I'm overreacting, but it just sucks to see a huge part of my childhood be beaten to death like this. As for the shorts themselves, I liked how the Star Wars ones kind of flowed nicely together and had little nods here and there between them, and I guess it was cool seeing some of these Star Wars characters in Simpsons animation style, but like that's it. If you like these shorts, then good for you, and I'm glad you can do so, but I've made my opinions very clear, so please leave your opinions in the comments below. In a couple of years, maybe they're gonna do like 10 more, and by the time they do so, I will make a follow-up video to this, just talking about the next lot, because they're gonna keep pushing these out for as long as they have the license to, which is probably gonna be for the rest of the franchise's run. It doesn't look like The Simpsons are going anywhere. Disney's not gonna go anywhere anytime soon. What are we talking about? Thank you for watching me rant about something I probably didn't need to rant about. If I don't make it out alive, if I don't post for another like couple months, that mouse got the better of me. Wait a second.
Oh boy.
Did you guys hear that? Bye for now.